This is the last segment of this series about how to create more video content faster, and it's the big Q&A session. The first question of today is, what type of video content works best for you? For me, the best type of video content is also where we show some personality. Whenever we talk about team and office, works really well. When I talk about books, when I give my opinion to it, talking directly to the camera works much better than talking than just recording an event where I'm talking like this way. Explainer, how-to content is of course what we do most, what we see working best, giving people a preview of what they can learn in videos. Yeah, that is, I think, the best type of content. Give them something that they can actually apply right now. Yeah, I hope after this meetup you're now able to set up your own video recording space and use the software. Maybe not in all the details, but you now got the basic layout, and you can now go on Google and YouTube and check out the rest of it, yeah, and learn it. So that kind of content definitely works best for me. So the next most upvoted question: what is the easiest way to add subtitles to videos for users that have their speakers muted? So we use two ways to add our subtitles that I want to mention, and I also got a great recommendation on the weekend from a friend. So the way we go about it, we upload it to YouTube, and YouTube has the ability to just transcribe what it hears automatically. And it has support for English, for German, for a lot of languages. And then you can export those subtitle files. And we use them on LinkedIn, we use them on Facebook. Facebook is super crazy good at creating their own subtitles. If you have watched this on Facebook, there is actually a real-time subtitle during the live stream that we are not doing. That is just the work of Facebook. But Facebook doesn't give us the ability to download the subtitle. This is what YouTube does. And I got another great recommendation for adding subtitles from Pedram, who is also very regular in our community. And he suggested a tool called Vid.io. Veed.io. Maybe you can post that in the comments as well. Here it's written like this. Maybe you check that the URL is working. So that is the easiest way for me to add subtitles, but that you are sensitive for the situation that people are having their speakers muted. That is very important. Yeah. So realizing that subtitles are part of it. Just please do me a favor, don't be the spammer with those white bars at the top, at the bottom. Every online marketer is doing that right now, and it makes you look like a douchebag. So I hope that answers that question. So let's get to the third question. Would you say that all what is possible with Windows and Android is that all of this is possible with Windows and Android tablets as well? By the way, great insights. Thank you, by Ron. Thank you very much, Ron. I think Windows laptops are even more powerful with video editing and with live streaming at the moment. The reason for that is that the gaming community who's spearheading all of this, they are 90% on Windows, not on Mac. So the Mac version of OBS is always like 3 to 6 months behind. Yeah, so if one example, I'm able to do this split screen thing in a Zoom call. On a Windows laptop, I was able to do this since a year, and just 2 weeks ago I finally found a hack on how to do this split screen style and the scene switching with the virtual webcam on the Mac. It took me forever. Yeah, so Windows is definitely up ahead, and Android tablets are fine as long as they have a stylus and an app that, like Notability. I'm using the app Notability that is definitely available on Android as well. then you can do all of those annotations that I've been doing. Yeah, so there is no big advantage of the Mac and iOS world. It's just a bit of ease of use that is the advantage here. So absolutely possible, great questions. Thank you very much. All right, so I love this one. Thank you, Eberhard. Are you using a green screen behind, or is this room real? I think the only way to test that is to use Christina. Christina, could you maybe do some jumping around in the background and maybe pick up the yellow book in the bookshelf and bring it to me? That's
yellow book you mean?
One of the yellow books. And you can see that, yes, that is my real room. That is the real library that we are using here. And Christina can bring it to me. And it's coming, no cuts. By the way, great choice, Christina. This is Hooked. One of the best books that combines product marketing and psychology on how to increase the engagement of your customers with your product, how to make them really love and stick to your product. It's really, I would consider this book even with a warning, because the insights of this book are definitely on the make your product addictive part. Yeah, he has written a follow-up book on how to counter those addictive tendencies of social media tools like Facebook and YouTube, who always keep feeding you a news stream and trigger you with notifications. So, real room, no green screen. The camera perspective, the blurriness, that makes it look almost like too pro to be real. So I get that. So let's check this off. The next question is, why don't you use a wireless mic from Rode, like the Wireless Go Rode? So the Wireless Go Rode is a lavalier mic. You have two sets where you connect it. I actually used to have a wireless mic, and I still use it during the live stream when I have to walk around a lot. Here, I prefer avoiding having to care about batteries, having to set it up. I now have a fixed boom mic up here, the Video Mic NTG, and it's just ready to go. And it was the only mic that actually had a better sound quality than my other Sennheiser lavalier mic, which is just a tad above the Wireless Go. They are both very good wireless headset, and it depends a lot also on the lavalier microphone that you stick to it. For me, it was convenience. But if you're in a situation where you want to be able to walk around in your room and you still want people to hear your voice, then you should stick with the Wireless Go, because here what happens. If I get distance from this mic, then you start hearing me less and less and less. But if I had a wireless mic here, then you would have had the perfect sound atmosphere all the time. But the cool thing about this is that this gives you more of a feeling of the room, because if I turn to the right and start talking to Christina, you will perceive me turning to the right and talking to Christina. And that again brings people a bit more into the room, and I absolutely love that. So, but if you have a wireless setup, stay with it. It's great, but I wanted to have even less friction, yeah, because I always had to set up and charge the wireless setup. All right, we got so many great questions today. Thank you all for participating in this Q&A. Okay, your slides, can you use them in a PowerPoint way, i.e. show the bullet points one by one while talking about them? 100%. Yes, this works in a PowerPoint way. I just have decided against it. I think it's already a bit wild and crazy what we are doing here, and I didn't want to have even more distractions, but it's absolutely possible. If you have a tablet with touch, which is very popular in the Windows world, you can make annotations in real time on PowerPoint. Keynote can do that as well. And right now, because I wanted to make annotations in Notability, I exported it into a PDF, where of course I don't have the 1-by-1 bullet points. But this is actually the only reason why I did that is because the power of my MacBook can't manage a real presentation while I'm making notes and getting that transferred to the computer. And this is why I took this PDF way. But it's absolutely possible to do animations, to do real-time, real animations and video. In the last meetup about Instagram ads, I showed you in real time in my slides videos that showed you how to do Instagram story ads. And those were working, right? So definitely that works. All right, now we go to the 2 upvote questions. What software are you using to connect your iPad to the video stream? Luckily, there is no software needed to have your iPad show as a video device. I can, if I attach my iPad with a USB-C cable, I'm using an iPad Pro, last year's 2018 iPad Pro 12.9 inches. Here's the lovely piece. I just connected with a USB-C cable to my MacBook, and I can choose it as a video source in OBS. So I guess the question might be answered with yes, OBS. The signal goes into OBS, and OBS allows me to stream that. But I don't need to have any other capture cards in between. Okay, so the next one. What video format? Square, horizontal, HD is the best for particular social channels? Very good question. I would say in the professional business world, B2B, I would focus on horizontal. Horizontal still has the air of professional video around it, even though it doesn't make sense in the mobile world. And I would go with that first. I would have a preference for horizontal on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Xing pages, if you're still on that platform. Then Square, there's something to be said for Square, and there is a reason why I am recording most of my stuff Square, or at least I have 2 Square pieces side by side. Square is the most versatile of all formats because it works on LinkedIn really well. It works on Facebook, on Instagram. It works on TikTok if needs be. It is good enough for a story. Using horizontal on a story looks really bad. Only on IGTV it looks pretty good because you can tilt the screen. And so Square is, to me, if I could only choose one format to ever produce content in, I would go for Square, because it takes up a decent amount of screen real estate on the phone. Can I have my phone? Thanks. It is like a square picture only takes up a small slice, maybe like 3 fingers. A horizontal one and a square one really almost covers the whole screen. But then there is something to be said about vertical. I produce less vertical, which might change in the future because we are using our phones this way. And if you are into any kind of B2C brand, like fashion or fast movable goods, start producing more and more vertical video. I think that's the way to go for B2C customers at the moment. So I hope that answers your questions, and depending on the platform, we have made a conscious choice. Let me go back and show you the setup that we are using right now for the slides. You see that we are using a 2x1 format. The first reason to use it was because it actually fills out the whole phone screen. Phones are never 16:9, they're always wider. So I use more screen real estate on the device where I know my audience spends the most time. And I used to just create a screen, and then there was a picture-in-picture either with me in the corner and the slides were big, or the face was big and the slides were in the corner. And when I looked at it on mobile, I was thinking like, this is not really mobile first. Try to look at a person in a small picture-in-picture frame on YouTube on your mobile phone. You just can't. You can't see the slides, you can't see the person, so you can just skip it. But once I realized that this format gives you the best of both worlds, I can connect with you on a personal level, and I can share content with you. And the square slides have one big advantage. They force me to really, really focus on the key message. There's more than 5 bullet points, no chance in the world. I would rather prefer one key message here. And that's why I'm producing at the moment a 2:1 video, preferably, because it's very easy to put that into a 60:9 frame. And I could have 2 square videos, yeah? And I could just like see my face a little bit, then see the slides a little bit, and I have a nice square video. I'm actually not doing that at the moment because Instagram for my B2B world is not the most important channel, but I would definitely do it if Instagram would perform better for me. So I hope that answers your question. Cool. Let's answer the next question by Ron. What about 2 cameras and having one that you look directly into and the other one capturing from a different angle? I see that quite often. Yes, the reasoning behind this is if you show different shots, it can be a bit more engaging and interesting. Right now you have to look at me always in the same angle, and some people would call that boring. I would call it authentic. Whenever it's the worst is when they start switching, talking. They start talking to this camera, then they start talking to this, then they switch back. This is not natural human behavior. It can look professional. If you do it good, it can really increase the engagement. For example, I thought about a fun thing. What if I would install like a 360 camera up here, and then people can look through the whole set, and I sometimes show the whole room, and I think that would give, again, it would bring the room into the live stream, and I would see the value of that. Once with the events using a 2-camera setup, that's I think that is a really good thing to do. But just for creating videos like this, I personally would not. But the setup I showed to you today is absolutely capable of taking 1 to 3 cameras, and with the Elgato Stream Deck, you could super easily switch between those different cameras and different perspectives. You can even show all 3 at once, if that makes sense in a scene for you. So go for it, but use it with caution. Focus first, yeah, on what's doable and what's simple. Next question. What about creating interview scenes, i.e. not talking directly into the camera, but pretending that there is an interviewer? I fucking hate it. Whenever I see douchebags doing that, I'm always like, you pretentious Apple duplicating weirdo. Yeah, I guess that's my opinion on that. I guess this lands in the outtake section by Ali. So, we're sorry. Okay. I feel often that most of the topics in my topics have been talked hundreds and thousands of times on YouTube, Facebook, IG. How can I find a new perspective? Very, very good question. So, you have a unique perspective. If you just repeat the same news, super boring. But what do you personally think about it? How does this relate to your specific audience? And that might be also part of a positioning problem. If you are not yet positioned for a very clear audience, yeah, and solve very specific problems for that audience, you will always have this issue that you're talking about, that everything you talk about is super generic. But what if I would explain how to create live streams for craftsmen, yeah, even for people who produce chairs, yeah, and then suddenly I can take this broad topic of what is the best camera and capture card and say, like, in an area where you do a lot of handcrafting, you have to be careful what kind of hardware you use because there's a lot of dust in the air, and I can make it super specific for my audience and show them how this relates, how this broad generic information relates to their real problem. Also, another way to make it more unique is to put it into a story. There's a really great book called Building a Story Brand by Dan Millman. And in this book, he explains pretty much how to put anything into a story and make it relevant for business. Make the story meaningful for yourself so that you're part of it, that you show personality and that you give your own opinion, but keep your core audience front and center in your answer, and that will make it much less generic. And the last thing is, I wouldn't worry about it that much. News is being repeated all the time, and everybody has their own audience. Sometimes people just want to hear it from you. Cool. So now we go into the one vote section. And I think that might be one of the last questions we might answer. Oh no, there are actually some ones from external people. Cool. So I just don't want to put the question in that I put on the list, but those were already answered, I think. So let's talk about the next question. Do you have any recommendations on working with a teleprompter? I don't, and I wouldn't. If you are the type of person who really needs to read off a script, practice free speech. This is about, I think video production today is very much about authenticity, about finding your own voice, and to just use a teleprompter maybe like for keywords, for here there's a prompt and then you can talk freely again. People will always smell that you're reading off a teleprompter and it will come across disingenuous. If you are working on a very complex product review, for example, there are more than enough reasons to use teleprompters, but it's not my style. I would always prefer having a slide like this here showing up, and the ability for you to share that with the audience and to take a glance at it as well, and then to just freely speak and just find the way you speak to make it sound natural. Cool. So next question. How does it work that you are still in the middle of the screen when the screen to the left gets wider? Yeah, good question. So this is, let me show you what he means. So this is scene number 1. The screen is shared wide and I'm slim. But then we have scene number 2, where we have a half and half, and I'm still in the middle. And he's talking about the shift to the right and why I'm still in the middle. Actually, that's what I did. I just pulled that source in OBS a bit further to the right. That's all there is to it. And that makes me sit at the same point because I didn't want to do like angling from left to right. I know that would be super weird. I would prefer the weirdness of me moving a little bit to the right. So that's how I did it. So let's go back to the slides. I hope that answers the question. So OBS was the solution. Next question. OBS is only for Mac? Definitely not. OBS is even available for Linux. For Windows, it's even more, the view versions for Windows are better and newer and more stable than on Mac. So if you're using Windows, congrats, you lucked out there. Next question. I have a MacBook Pro 13-inch, which I do as well, standing right in front of me, with the lowest configuration for some months now. Is it realistic to produce some video with such a device? Yes, 100%. So the lowest configuration, like you hardly need video editing capacity. What you need is CPU power. And even the base configuration of the current MacBook Pro is much more powerful than my fully spec'd out one from 4 years ago. So it should be easily possible to do it. And OBS always gives you the options to lower the quality settings to find something that works for you. It doesn't need to be 1080p, so 1920 times 1080. You can easily start producing videos in 720p, which is 1280 times 720 in the resolution, and that lowers the amount of power your computer needs. Another way to lower the need is just to use less input sources. Don't have two cameras, just have one. Yeah, use a USB camera and not a professional camera. A USB camera needs less system resources, for example. A good one that we have lying around here is the Logitech Brio or the Logitech 920. Yeah, C, I think. So I hope that answers your questions. MacBook, even the lowest spec, should be good for that. All right, so increase the volume here a little bit. So we have two last questions. So use a free app, Quick by GoPro on videos to edit. So this is more a suggestion by Dirk. I love Quick. Quick is such an amazing app. It just feels great to use it. It also adds video and cuts it, makes it more fun. It's a free app by GoPro. It's incredible that we get this kind of stuff for free. Thank you for the advice. And then last question by Eberhard. So how do subtitles differ than with the big white stripes on the top and the bottom? So how to do subtitles differently than with the white stripes? I would suggest, look how Facebook and YouTube are doing it naturally and how movies are doing it. You have a transparent section in the lower half. Yeah, it could be here, for example. Yeah, and there the video, the subtitle is in white text. You can maybe put a little bit of contrasty background behind that, but that's what to me looks professional. And I generally would prefer to use the native subtitle function from LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. And only on Instagram do the subtitle stuff because it's not working there yet. There you have to do the horrible white bars, but I would actually prefer just to have a transparent way with white text, yeah, in the lower third. If you like this and if you want to get the slides, go to get.pirateskills.com/create-more-videos. We always have the links somewhere in the descriptions or in the comments here on this video. And this is where you can not only get this meetups slides, but all of the past 2 years worth of meetups. Hope to see you next time. Bye bye.